In this forecast, severe weather is returning to the southern plains and we could see very large hail later this evening. An enormous cold blast is coming to the United States and 80% of you will be impacted. And the first snow of the season has arrived in the Midwest. Who's gonna see it next? All of that and more is coming right up. Let's first begin talking about that severe weather potential for today across the southern plains. There is a slight risk for severe weather that extends from western Oklahoma all the way back into eastern Arkansas. There's also a marginal threat outside of there that goes from North Texas and actually goes as far east as Mississippi and Tennessee. The main concerns today will be damaging winds as high as 70 to potentially 80 miles per hour with the most severe storms, as well as large to very large hail will be possible. In the potential for very large hail really exists across that black hatched area from western Oklahoma back through central Arkansas. This is an area that we'll have to watch for the most severe storms this evening across this region. First, let's begin with Arkansas's timing. 6 to 7 o'clock, we'll begin to see those storms fire up. That would include areas near Fort Smith, Russellville, Conway, all going to begin to see these storms fire up. These are the ones that we're going to have to watch the most closely for the potential for very large hail. By 8 to 9 o'clock, they become much more widespread across that interstate, and that will most likely begin to more transition into a damaging wind concern over a very large hail concern. But there will still be a potential for at least some large hail up to maybe golf ball size between about 10 o'clock overnight as well. Eventually by 11 to 12 o'clock, those storms shift off to the east pretty slowly, so flash flooding may become a concern here across central Arkansas. Eventually going into the overnight hours, showers and maybe a few rumbles of thunder will still continue. Severe weather not expected by Sunday morning. Timing across Oklahoma will begin around 7 to 8 o'clock with some storms firing up primarily north of McAllister and maybe a couple northwest of Oklahoma City. The ones that initially fire up are going to be the ones again that produce the largest hailstone sizes, as the lapse rates will be highest really during the mid-evening hours. By 10 to 11 o'clock, more storms fire up and that will become a bit more scattered to numerous activity by about 10 to 11 o'clock this evening. By midnight to 1 in the morning, it all turns into primarily a cluster, maybe a line of storms. If this were to occur, which is likely it's going to happen, that we'll have a line of storms, it would mainly be damaging winds as this tracks down to the south pretty slowly though. Again, this might be outflow driven, but damaging winds can be a bigger concern there. Also, North Texas overnight tonight, we'll see some storms fire up and eventually go into areas like DFW as well as Plano and Dallas, going to about 7 to 8 in the morning tomorrow. So there might be some isolated damaging wind gusts with that. Eventually, everybody clears out for the most part in DFW going into Monday. And this is an overview of the threats this evening across areas like Oklahoma and Arkansas. The main concern, again, will be definitely large hail. That is our biggest concern without a doubt. Again, hailstones could reach as high as potentially baseball size, maybe even an isolated storm getting a little bit higher than that. Damaging winds is our secondary threat. Tornado threat will be very low tonight, if not very close to zero. I don't expect tornadoes to really be that much of a concern. If one does occur, it might most likely be very brief and weak. All right, let's talk about the big cold blast coming this upcoming week, and this will impact a lot of you, so stay tuned. Going into early next week, we'll begin to see a huge cold blast come out of Canada. This will actually arrive as early as tomorrow to areas in the Midwest, but more primarily going into Monday and Tuesday, that cold air will usher in to areas like the Midwest and eventually going into the Central Plains. Now, it doesn't end there. It's going to continue to migrate down to the south by Tuesday into Wednesday. It will reach areas like North Texas all the way back through Florida, so we will see a big difference in the temperatures going into early to midweek and eventually heading into the later portion of the week. Still below average temperatures along the East Coast most likely, but we'll eventually start to see warmer air usher in going into probably this upcoming weekend, if not early the following week. So that's going to be something kind of watch if you're anywhere across those areas. Also, precipitation wise, we're not really going to see a whole lot after this upcoming event that's going to happen basically today through about Monday. Showers and storms along that cold front, that'll extend all the way back down through Texas and all the way back up north into areas like New England. Eventually heading into Monday and Tuesday, we could actually see some snow flurries, maybe even accumulation back up in the Midwest. More on that here in just a second. But eventually heading into Tuesday and Wednesday, that low will eventually start to move slowly off to the north and east, and we should be cleared from this very slow moving trough by either Wednesday or Thursday. And eventually heading into the upcoming weekend, it looks to be very dry across the United States for the most part. Only exception would really be Florida and also the northwestern portions of the United States. There will be a potential for some accumulative snow across areas like Wisconsin, Michigan, and as well as the upper upper Michigan Peninsula, with the upper Michigan Peninsula most likely going to see somewhere between 2 to 6 inches of snow. There might be some amounts higher than that. This is a little bit of an overestimate, I would say, but there will definitely be a potential for some pretty substantial snowfall this weekend, all due to the fact this low pressure system is going to be sitting back out here to the east of the Great Lakes. That will basically usher in this little snow bands that we'll probably see on the back end of that low pressure system, along with the much cooler air. So that's going to kind of make a mix basically for some snow. We also could see that snow eventually reach areas like Michigan, so we might see some flurries there, maybe some light snow. Can't rule out a little bit of accumulation. Does not seem to be any concern, at least in terms of travel impacts as of now, but we'll keep you updated with any new details there. Temperatures heading into Tuesday morning, by the way, we could see below freezing temperatures extend as far south as areas into central Alabama as well as central Georgia. So this will be a big concern for those that are farmers. Make sure you're bringing your sensitive vegetation in, covering stuff over, that sort of thing. Back up in Iowa, temperatures will drop into the 20s and maybe even some teens. The wind chills Tuesday morning for Iowa specifically, only in the teens and maybe some single digits. So it's gonna be a very cold morning. Make sure you bundle up as we head into Tuesday. Make sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe if you've not already. This forecast is brought to you by Platinum Contracting.